Watch closely. In previous episodes, a disappearance that scares you with its perfect order. A girl, 17 years old, officially living in house number 29. But inside that house, not a single item belongs to her. Only a mattress, a cup, and an unplugged refrigerator. The house was rented with fake documents from a woman who doesn't exist, Tammy Hall. Payments came from a bank account closed after 3 weeks. The owner didn't even know his house was rented out. No solid evidence. 5 fingerprints, all incomplete. 1 partially matches the school archives. Neighbors are confused. Some say they saw a girl, others saw only a man. 1 witness claims to have recorded a car's license plate on camera, but the memory card is broken. Phoebe's phone appeared on the network for the last time at night, connected briefly to a random nearby Wi-Fi, and then disappeared. 2 days later, someone who looked like her appeared in an airport parking lot. Cameras didn't catch the face. No ticket, no transaction, no attempt to board a flight. She simply went in and left. The car that figure came out of was later found at an abandoned warehouse. Inside, sterile clean. No traces, no trash. Only handcuffs, a knife, a broken brooch, just like Phoebe's. And a note that read, "I am not who you think I am." Then, an anonymous letter appeared. "You're looking in the wrong place." Inside, photos from inside the house. 2 backpacks, a pack of old cigarettes, and a map with a marked spot. A hint that Phoebe wasn't the only one in the house. There was another woman. No neighbor saw her. No witness confirmed her presence. But the digital logs prove she was there. We begin where we left off. Then a 5th person came forward. They wrote a letter, themselves, to the police mailbox. Unsigned, on a plain sheet of notebook paper. "You're searching in the wrong place. The house is not hers. She was never really there. She lived somewhere else. The whole lease was a cover-up. Ask about the truck on the night of the 2nd. It left at 3:30 a.m. No fingerprints on the letter. Standard paper. Neat female handwriting with no pressure. They compared it to the note found in the notebook from the car. The handwriting didn't match, but it gave the investigation a new lead: the truck. 5 blocks from the house, a camera did catch a white truck leaving at 3:31 a.m., a covered truck bed, the license plate unreadable. It turned toward the eastbound highway and was never seen on any other camera again. The truck doesn't match previous clues. It has no connection to the sedan Phoebe was seen leaving. But it passed at the right time. Police returned to people. They interviewed warehouse workers, security guards, truck drivers. 1 guard recalled, "There was such a truck, but it seemed like it never stopped, just drove by, couldn't recall the color. There's always traffic there, you just can't keep track." And so began what one investigator called, "Everyone had someone who saw something, but no one saw twice. No one was certain. Everyone was guessing, and between all of them, holes." In this case, witnesses exist, but they forget, or mix things up, or fill gaps with things that weren't there. And at that moment, evidence became more important than words. By the 8th day after Phoebe Bishop's disappearance, the investigation reached a stage no official report names allowed, but operatives call among themselves. Too late for simple answers. That is the point where logic begins to stall, and time works against you. Not because there was a lack of evidence, but because key decisions were either not made in time or made by the wrong hands. That's when the mistakes begin, small on their own. But together, they become missed opportunities. Mistake number 1, slow response. Phoebe disappeared presumably the night between the 1st and 2nd of March. But the official missing person report wasn't filed until March 4th, and the active search phase began only on the evening of March 5th. By that time, her phone had long been offline. The house where she was said to live only drew attention after her mother's call, and the airport camera footage would have already been erased if not for a timely request from a private security company. In other words, the crucial first 48 hours search window was lost. Mistake number 2, underestimating the address. When law enforcement first entered number 29 BI, they limited their examination to visual inspection and basic documentation of items. Only by day 3 was a forensic expert called in who began searching for signs of secondary occupancy, hidden compartments, concealed objects, changes in wiring and ventilation. For example, an empty kitchen cabinet was initially thought broken, but later found to hide a cavity where an empty packaging bag was discovered. The bathroom wiring had been altered, but not professionally, wires connected to a metal frame rather than an outlet, possibly to power a temporary device. One window's glass had been replaced with an old mismatched pane, likely broken and hurriedly swapped. Mistake number 3, misinterpreting the evidence. Items found in the car, handcuffs, knife, note, were initially seen as direct proof of violence. This framed the investigation. Phoebe was kidnapped, a man is involved, and she might have resisted. But as new details emerged, it became clear the scene was too sterile. No traces or biological material were found on the handcuffs. The knife showed particles of rust, but no signs of use. The note's handwriting differed from Phoebe's and from anyone in the database. Everything felt staged, more performance than real crime scene. Yet this realization came only in the second week after precious time was lost chasing a false lead. Mistake number 4, lack of coordination between agencies. The case involved the local Bundaberg police station, the Juvenile Affairs Department, forensic experts from Brisbane, and later, a separate federal cybercrime unit when an anonymous email surfaced. But the departments were not fully synchronized. Some databases weren't linked, resulting in delays and losses, such as the analysis of Phoebe's online account was delayed for 3 days due to paperwork approvals. Footage from a car wash camera where the gray sedan passed was erased before anyone requested it, simply because it was outside their jurisdiction. Mistake number 5, mismanagement of witness statements. Early testimonies from Harry Doyle, Chelsea Howell, and others were not formally recorded under oath, but as casual statements. That led to their accounts being dismissed as unreliable once the witnesses began confusing details later on. One investigator later said, "We ignored the old woman when she said she heard a voice, only to find out that night someone really did come out to the backyard, but no one had listened." Mistake number 6, blindness to possible staging. Early on, no one considered that Phoebe might not have been a victim, but part of a scheme, not maliciously, but coerced step by step. Only after analyzing messages from the mysterious contact atom watcher, who later disappeared from all archives, did investigators start building the theory of manipulation and preparation. By then, too much evidence was already lost. Too many opinions had solidified, including the press. Too little time remained to check digital traces that fade quickly. At this point, close to the 10th day, one report included the sentence, "Most likely, we are not looking for a body. We are looking for a mistake in the sequence that allowed one person to disappear, or someone else to orchestrate it." The investigation no longer knows if Phoebe is alive, but they do know this. Everything that could have been done faster was done slowly. And now, they don't have to just find her. They have to prove she ever existed. On the 11th day after Phoebe Bishop disappeared, a call came into the Bundaberg police station. The voice was male, adult, with a slight accent, slow and hesitant, as if reading from a script. He said, "If you want to know where she is, go to the 17th kilometer of the old Boundary Creek Road. She's there, alone, under a rock." The call lasted exactly 14 seconds. The operator asked for clarification, but the caller hung up. The call came from a payphone at the municipal library in Woodgate, about 40 kilometers from Bundaberg. The cameras near the library were not working. The weather was overcast, and footage from a nearby bank's camera was too low quality to see anything clearly. No one saw who made the call, but the signal was confirmed. The police team left immediately. Around 7:30 in the evening, they arrived at the location, a section of an old road long out of use. 10 years prior, a temporary construction route had passed there. Now it was overgrown with scrub and kangaroo bushes, with soft and swampy ground in places. After 2 hours of searching, they found old tire tracks, worn, not fresh, a tarp thrown in the bushes, and a torn women's t-shirt, dirty, tagless, with a stain that looked like paint. No blood traces, no shoes, no body, no belongings linked to Phoebe. But near the tarp lay a sheet of paper, protected from moisture, inside a plastic bag. Inside, the print of a photo. The photo showed house number 29BI, taken from the road with a telephoto lens, with a handwritten note, "She's already gone." The paper was clean, no fingerprints, but there was a fingerprint on the plastic bag, unmatched in any database. The handwriting style did not match the note found in the car, nor Phoebe's own handwriting. It was clear this was not a homemade clue from a teenager. It was an intentional message designed to throw police off the current investigation path. In the forensic report, the phrase read, "The placement of objects at the scene indicates an attempt to create a trail, enough to mobilize the response team, but not leading to facts. The structure is fabricated." The investigator who examined the area noted a strange detail. Why choose this exact place? It's an old road, few know it. To lure police here, you have to be local, or someone planned in advance a zone far enough to guarantee no results, yet known enough to be believable. They checked the camera coverage radius monitoring movement toward the old road. Between 5 and 7 in the evening, 11 vehicles passed. Only one, a dark blue pickup truck without cargo, appeared in the area, then vanished from all cameras. It was neither recorded entering nor leaving afterward. Possibly turned onto a back road, maybe parked on an abandoned farm, maybe just a coincidence. But it was the only vehicle breaking the surveillance line that evening. The next morning, local media published a short message. "Source reports possible location of Phoebe Bishop. Police are investigating." It lacked details but sparked a wave of false witnesses. A man claimed he saw Phoebe on the road near Rock. A woman said she recognized the voice from the mysterious call. Social media filled with sightings of Phoebe in Sydney. None of these claims were confirmed. But resources were diverted, and the task force temporarily shifted its focus away from analyzing the car and Tammy Hall's contacts. False leads can be more dangerous than no leads at all. One investigator put it plainly. Without evidence, the search is blind. But a false clue gives hope, a feeling that you're close, and it wastes precious days. The letter found in the bushes, reading "She's already gone," became almost a manifesto. It felt like a taunt, a comment, or a message from someone who claims to be uninvolved, yet watches closely. It was after this tip that the PT-0503 team first seriously considered the possibility of deliberate deception. Before that, all clues seemed accidental, born from carelessness, fear, or panic. Now, an intellectual thread had emerged, someone who knew where the cameras were, someone who understood tight time windows, someone operating right at the edge of belief. The key conclusion was clear. This isn't just someone who knows where Phoebe was, it's someone who wants us looking in the wrong place. By mid-March, 2 weeks after Phoebe Bishop vanished, the investigation had over 120 pages of internal analysis, countless hours of video recordings, interview transcripts, digital logs, and physical evidence. Yet no single theory held together. Phoebe seemed to have disappeared according to a formula. All the pieces were there, but each pointed in a different direction. At that point, the investigation boiled down to 3 main theories. Each seemed plausible, and each ultimately failed to fit the facts. Version 1, voluntary escape. Supporting this theory, her gradual distancing from family, deleting social media accounts, attempting to move without conflict, no signs of a struggle, and possibly preparing a new identity through contact with Item Watcher. But the theory falls apart due to no financial transactions, no evidence of planning, no tickets, hidden caches, or messages about a new life, no contacts or destinations she might have gone to. Most importantly, none of the later found clues confirm she left on her own. Neither cameras, the airport, nor any transport records. One investigator summarized, "To believe she ran away, you have to believe she made a perfect escape without a trace. And she wasn't the kind of person who could be a ghost." Version 2, forced disappearance. Supported by handcuffs, a knife, and a note found in the car. A fragment of her brooch found inside the car. The call hinting at a body under a rock. The gray sedan spotted near the airport, but it collapses due to complete lack of evidence of a struggle or biological signs of violence. No DNA matches to known criminals. The scary evidence looks overly clean, almost staged. And the odd direction of the scene, like someone set the stage but never committed an actual crime. An investigator wrote in the report, "It looks like a crime, but feels like a copy of one, created by someone who's read too many cases." Version 3, coercion and exploitation. This theory was based on several details. An anonymous contact, Item Watcher, a very active correspondence with an unknown person 2 months before her disappearance. The false lease under the name Tammy Hall, the car registered in the same name, swapping SIM cards, shutting off phones, and wiping digital traces. This suggested Phoebe could have been drawn into something, housing in exchange for services, document forgery, transportation, possible exploitation. Not necessarily willingly, possibly under pressure. But this theory also falls apart. Phoebe's phone held no compromising photos, videos, or chats. Item Watcher was never found in any public database. No concrete evidence of movements, gang ties, or shadowy organizations surfaced. As a cybersecurity expert put it, it's like playing chess with all the pieces in place, but no player. What ties all 3 theories together? Each makes sense, up to a point. But none explain all the evidence at once. And most importantly, none explain the complete absence of Phoebe's own trace. Every investigation eventually reaches a pressure point, a moment when the police have everything, except an understanding of what really happened. In Phoebe's case at this moment, there's a stage, a house where she supposedly lived, yet nothing of hers remains. A car where her personal item was found, but she was not. People who saw her, but at different times, with conflicting details. Technical data that always falls through when it should prove something. One analyst wrote in the margins, "Every clue in this case is a door opening onto an empty room." The official report stated, "As of March 15th, the investigation considers that existing theories individually do not provide sufficient grounds for determining the fate of Phoebe Bishop. The case is classified as an active disappearance under undetermined circumstances, with signs of deliberate evidence tampering." What does this mean? It means no body, no trace, no witness, no motive fit within normal logic. And that is the greatest danger, because the longer a case remains unclear, the higher the chance it will remain forever unsolved. This case did not face a dead end. There were many paths, but they all led away, and the center, the core, remained empty. By the time the investigation reached a stalemate with three equally likely but mutually contradictory theories, and no evidence was confirmed repeatedly, Phoebe Bishop's case took an unexpected turn. An email arrived to the Missing Persons Department. The sender, observer1999xxx.com. No signature. Attachments, 1 PDF file, and 3 photos. Subject line, I can't speak, but you're looking in the wrong place. The email was sent at 3:12 a.m. No greeting, no personal address, just one paragraph. You think she left or was taken? That's not true. She left by arrangement. Find out who she was with in House 29BI the night of the 1st to the 2nd. It wasn't a man, it was a woman. Don't ask who I am. I'm just fixing someone else's mistake. The first step, check the IP address. The email was sent via VPN, routed through Lithuania. Metadata was wiped clean. Photos were taken on a basic Samsung J-series phone without GPS coordinates. The attached file, a scanned handwritten note with 3 lines. She knew someone was watching her. She knew what was offered. She chose. Investigators approached the message cautiously. There were enough false witnesses already. But the photos changed the tone. What was in the photos? Photo 1, black and white, slightly blurry, taken through a window pane. In the frame is the silhouette of a girl standing in a room, slightly leaning forward as if reading something. Her face is not visible, but the profile, hair, and clothing are very similar to Phoebe's. Photo 2, 2 backpacks lying against a wall. One has a bright pink stripe on the side, exactly like the one Phoebe carried at school. The other is dark gray, without any identifying marks. The photo was taken from the floor, as if secretly. Photo 3, a stack of papers on a kitchen table. Visible is a map of the area with a marked point, probably on the outskirts of Bundaberg. Also on the table is a cup and a pack of Long Beach cigarettes, a brand not sold in the region since at least 2020. The photos were taken inside house number 29BI. The angle, furniture, and table covering all match. But none of these scenes were ever recorded on any found device, nor was a second backpack or pack of cigarettes ever mentioned in any interrogation. What does this mean? Someone else was in the house with Phoebe, and this someone is not identified in the case. The investigation tried to confirm who else might have rented the house, but Tammy Hall was a fake identity. Phoebe was a minor. Thus, there must have been a third party, either a chaperone or a housemate, someone no neighbor noticed. Then they checked Wi-Fi connection archives in the area. It was established that on the night of February 28th to March 1st, 2 devices connected to a router near the house. The first, the same phone Phoebe used. The second, unknown, with a MAC address not linked to any previous activity. One detail raised suspicion. That same night, according to signal logs, someone connected to the access point through a mobile router bought at a local store 3 days earlier. The router had been purchased using a card in the name L. Marcello, a name already appearing in the fake lease agreement. This Laura Marcello does not exist in government databases, but the name was used twice, for renting the house, for buying the router, and now, presumably, that is who is in the photo, the one who was in the room with Phoebe. The investigation proposed a new theory. Phoebe did not live alone in House 29BI. The second person, a woman, older, using a fake name, controlled the situation. She could have orchestrated the disappearance without a trace. And she might have sent the photos. Why? Because something went wrong. But how to understand where these photos came from? And, more importantly, why send them? One investigator wrote in the report, "Either the sender wants us to find Phoebe, or wants us to see everything the way they want. This could be a well-meaning person, or the director of the play, writing its next act. 22 days after Phoebe Bishop vanished, on the opposite edge of Bundaberg, where the asphalt ends and the sugarcane bushes begin, a volunteer found an item that finally brought the case back to solid ground. It was something familiar, recognizable, no DNA needed. A phone case, blue, worn, with a white circular sticker on the back that read, "Slow days are good days," handwritten with a permanent marker. It was Phoebe's favorite phrase. Her mother confirmed. She wrote that herself with a marker last year. I asked her to change the case. It was dirty, cracked, but she said, "It's mine. I know where I am by it." The case was found beneath bush roots, 2 meters from an old dirt road leading to a sewage station. The location was hard to reach. No one went there without reason. Volunteers weren't looking there. They were returning from another site, and one stepped aside for a moment, stepping on soft earth, and spotted a plastic corner poking from the dirt. Inside, nothing. No phone, no SIM card, just the case. But it was clean. No soil, no sand, as if it had been placed there recently. Investigators immediately confirmed it was the exact case Phoebe had at the time of her disappearance, confirmed by photos, by fingerprints, by descriptions. This was her first personal item found outside the car and the house, but it was a discovery that only made the case more complicated. Why? Because part of the investigation firmly followed the theory that Phoebe left by car, possibly to the industrial zone or even farther. But now her personal item was found in a different area, one where she was never recorded before. This called into question the entire trajectory after her disappearance. Officers began combing the area. Within 48 hours, they covered 600 meters of terrain. What they found, a torn wrapper from an energy drink, venom with a 2019 production date, an old lighter without gas, a pack of tissues, an inactive plastic Woolworth store card, and a faded inked sheet of paper with only a partial phrase visible. She said she knows where she's going. The paper was inside a plastic bag similar to the one in which the house photos were found. Experts couldn't recover fingerprints. Now the case had 2 key locations, House 29 BI, where she lived, and the bush on the city's outskirts where someone left a trail, knowing it would be found. Explanations considered, Phoebe ran away and lost her phone case. But the area is not on the route from where she supposedly got into the car. It's a different direction. Someone who knew her route discarded the case. But why? They were hiding evidence. Here, it's almost revealed. Someone wants us to believe she was there. This is more plausible, because the logic of earlier clues shows someone is controlling the investigation. Clues are distributed sparingly, unconvincingly, but emotionally charged. At this point, the investigation introduced a new term, an act of sending a sign, where an item belonging to the missing person doesn't assist the investigation, but instead provokes it to move in a specific direction. An investigator wrote, "It's like walking a map where at every turn an invisible hand places an arrow, but where the route leads is unknown." But the discovery was important because it shattered the sense of isolation. Until then, no personal item of Phoebe's was found, no place reliably linked to her. Now there was a physical piece of evidence saying she was here, somewhere, not so far away, but there was no body, no clothing, no shoes, not even a trace, explaining how the phone case ended up under the bush. A day later, one investigator said, "Sometimes you think you're getting closer, only to realize you were just given a crumb to keep you going." The discovery of the case did not solve the mystery. It only added a new point of tension. Everything else remained open. By the end of the third week investigating Phoebe Bishop's disappearance, there was no direct proof of where she went, with whom, why, or even if she was alive. But one certainty began to form, not immediately, but from piecing together details. Phoebe was not alone. This was not a solo disappearance. This was not a tragedy without participants. Everything remaining of her trail pointed to another person who knew exactly what they were doing. This theory began to crystallize after analysis of digital logs, anonymous photos, the phone case, and early indirect witnesses. Something connected these pieces. Everything happened within a closed radius. No clue left the city limits. All objects were too clean, as if someone removed extras but left behind a hint. And finally, the evidence all included elements that could only have been prepared in advance. The investigation hypothesized that on the night of March 1st to 2nd, another person, a woman, was in house 29 BI. She arrived earlier. She might have been the user of the mobile router bought under the name Laura Marcello. She might have been recorded on camera under a hood instead of Phoebe. And she could have left either with Phoebe or alone, staging everything after Phoebe's departure. One investigator wrote in a service note, "We were looking for the disappearance of one person, but almost every clue points to a dual structure. 2 cups, 2 backpacks, 2 network logins, 2 time windows. As if there were 2 of them, one vanished and the other erased itself." Key details indicating the second person. The anonymous letter's photo showing 2 backpacks on a table, a printed map with 2 marked points, one being the area where the phone case was later found, a pack of outdated cigarettes, not fitting Phoebe's habits, but part of the household, a Wi-Fi log showing 2 unique devices connected on the same night, Phoebe's phone going offline around 3 a.m., possibly after being handed over or destroyed. Additionally, there was a new coincidence. On a short-term rental website, an archived post was found from a user with the nickname March Watcher, registered 1 week before the disappearance. The user posted ads offering safe overnight stays for girls, no questions asked, only via messaging. The email associated was THAll6C. This became the final link connecting Tammy Hall, Laura Marcello, and Etam Watcher. They were all one person, or one role. But there was one last discovery. Police returned to the area where the phone case was found. 300 meters from that spot, in an abandoned shed with a collapsed roof, they found an empty camera box. Inside, undeveloped film, and a handwritten note. "She knew but didn't say. I knew but didn't stop it. Sometimes it's easier to leave than explain. We don't have to be understood." No signature. The handwriting did not match any previous notes. The paper was a torn sheet with a private clinic's logo on one side and a printed shift schedule on the other. The clinic was the very one where Phoebe's mother worked. It was a work form, possibly discarded trash or reused or passed along. What does this mean? Nothing definite, but much to worry about. The film was sent to a lab. Some frames were damaged, but 2 showed a room and 2 silhouettes. One girl, presumably Phoebe. The other, taller, with dark hair. Faces were indistinguishable. They sat at a table eating something. In the background, a window with torn blinds. House number 29 BI. Final wording in the report. At this time, the investigation believes Phoebe Bishop's disappearance may have been planned involving 2 people. One is known. The second identity is unknown. Circumstances suggest voluntary cooperation, though pressure or influence cannot be ruled out. Phoebe disappeared, but she did not disappear alone, and if one of them left, then the other helped her vanish, or left instead of her, or after her. But she was there, and that remains the main question. Who is she? And where are they both now? What do you think? Did Phoebe run away? Was she taken? Or is the disappearance itself someone's carefully crafted script? Write in the comments which version you believe, and what would you do if you found a phone case like that under a bush?